at first base. McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win it. That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9 Live. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Tyler. We got Jim. We are a week away from baseball. Not a little. We are a week away from baseball. What's up, fellas?
I'm full-blown baseball already.
In what way? Because you're participating in coaching it?
Yeah, I'm tired. So basically, let's not spend 30 minutes on Josh Van Meter.
Okay. Tyler's got to go to bed again, guys.
That's good to be a week away. Is this our last NS9 Live of the off season?
It is.
You realize I said off season.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said it is. I agree. It is the official last NS9 Live of the off season because next Thursday begins the actual regular season.
You know what I actually, as much as I hated it, enjoyed? Pirates Twitter was in a frenzy this week. It felt good to be back at it.
We are back, baby.
It just felt good to be back in the weeds.
It was nice to just get everybody yelling at each other about just stupid stuff. Yeah, I think I was called a lot of names by people. I was told to calm down quite often. So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun week.
It just felt good to be back and talking about baseball with other people and tweeting about it and it not being just annoying like CBA talk.
I mean, that's true. Like, we've actually had baseball to actually talk about, which it's not as if like Pirates Twitter wasn't in a frenzy at all this off season, mainly for CBA reasons and whatnot, but it was a little bit calmer, right? I mean, it was calmer in the sense of what we're going through right now because there's real baseball being played by the Pittsburgh Pirates by all accounts. Yeah, like I've been amped up a bit this week. I've been getting kind of testy. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm getting into Twitter arguments with people who I shouldn't be getting into Twitter arguments with. I'm saying things I probably shouldn't be saying. I think at one point, like, you know how your Apple Watch, when like you're just sitting there and all of a sudden your heart rate shoots up and it'll like give you a beep and it'll be like, hey, we just noticed your heart rate went up and you're just not moving at all.
Right.
I think that happened earlier this week too. So yeah.
Somehow I was the calm one.
Baseball's back, baby.
I was the one not in the arguments.
You were the calmest of them all.
I was.
You were the rational one this week, Tyler. Because even though, like, it wasn't as if you stayed away from commenting.
No,
you were on.
I was
Twitter.
commenting.
You've made comments. They were
Nobody really argued with me.
Yeah, they were very like, I'm not gonna say like fully thought out. I mean, they were brief in the sense. It wasn't like you went on some tangents like Jim and I kind of did a little bit here and there. But you like stated your point very rationally. I retweeted a couple. I'm like, this is a good point, Tyler. I'm retweeting this.
This is a new Tyler. The old me would have just went.
Well, I gotta do something.
To chop off heads.
There, I gotta switch you two up. Jim's in the middle now. I don't like this.
back in the day, I would have been off with their heads, but now I just put out my comment and I do not respond if I don't like your response.
See, that's where I get into trouble. Like, people respond and if I disagree with them, I have to respond back. And I need to stop doing that. I need to just say what I want to say and then just let people say things and yell into the abyss.
It also depends on how many beers I've had.
How many beers have you had tonight?
I've been home for approximately 45 minutes, so only one.
So this is what I don't get either.
I've got coffee. I don't even have beer.
I was going to say, so like what I don't get is maybe I'm just confused or maybe you've switched it up on us, but your excuse now that I'm hearing is like, hey, I'm 8 beers in. I'm not going to do this. When meanwhile, I'm thinking you're 8 beers in. Let's ready to go.
No, there's a sweet
Rumble
spot.
and Tyler.
8 beers in after 10 o'clock. I can't do it because I got to go to bed or else I'm going to be up arguing until 2 a.m. 8 o'clock, 8 beers in. Let's go.
So I guess, yeah, that's
if it's 10 o'clock and I'm 8 beers in, I'm going to end up drinking 15 because I'm going to sit there and argue all night. I got to give myself a cutoff.
I guess that makes sense.
Also, I'll just stop making sense in my tweets and then I'll wake up and be like, I don't even agree with what I said.
I'm not looking forward. I'm not looking forward to like the notification you get every Sunday that says like what your average screen time is. I'm not looking forward to reading that. I'm just gonna say, shut up, Siri.
So what was your favorite argument you got in this week, Jim?
Favorite? None of them were my favorites. They were all my least favorite.
Which one do you feel like you teabagged your opponent the most? Where like you sent a tweet and you're like, got him.
It was kind of interesting, like when with DK going back and forth with me. I think at one point I just said it's disgusting to see all the Pittsburgh sports media carry the water for nutting or something like that. And then DK said, what's disgusting is people like yourself who know how things work, say all these things just to get people riled up, blah, blah, blah. And like, my thing is like, I understand how it works, but it doesn't make it right. Like, and DK was like, hey, everybody does this. Everybody does this. And then the very next day,
yes,
the Reds,
drum roll.
The Reds announced Hunter Green will be starting on the team, and it wasn't even me who said it. I was just like, good job to the Reds. They deserve to be like, if you do these things, you deserve to be applauded for doing them. So good job, Reds. Somebody, I forget who it was, replied and was like, I was like, well, didn't somebody just tell you yesterday that this is something that all teams do?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't like arguing with people on Twitter. I know it seems like I might, but I would like to just not have to argue with people if the Pirates would just do the right things. That's really what gets me just really upset. And we'll get in. I don't even know if we'll get into it today. There's so many things that we could talk about. But this whole offseason was just a joke. This offseason has been a disgrace to the game of baseball. If you're a Pirates fan, like, it's been that bad. It's been terrible.
Yeah, it's just it does.
Yeah, I think
made sense. I feel like every step of the way, you just question, wait, why this happened? And here we are, minutes before the show, we have our next question of why this happened. Like, why is Josh Van Meter now a Pirate? I don't understand the transaction. I don't get it. And it's just like, it just routinely happens. Every time the Pirates do something, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. You know what? I just
Tyler mustn't be in that
real
sweet
quick.
spot yet.
No, I want to give a quick shout out to YGavs because he has just been the voice of the voiceless this week. He has collected everyone's thoughts and somehow put it out so eloquently. Not in Jim's way of, okay, F you. See, I said F, not in that sweet spot yet.
And brash.
Yeah.
Which is like perfect. I mean, it's poetry.
So just reading what he's saying, it just captures a soul.
Yeah, it's a good shout out.
Yeah,
Everyone else sucked.
He definitely puts things into words better than pretty much anybody else. I feel like I really can't argue or with anything that he's said this whole week. He's kind of put every one of my thoughts down 100%. You know, everything that he said I agree with. So yeah, if you haven't checked out his rants over the past week, that's pretty much what I think. And he says it probably a little bit better than I do, because he has a PhD and he was on Jeopardy. And I mean, you know, look at me. That's
right.
I went to Louisville. I mean, geez, come on, guys.
Yeah, I know.
I think where everyone's just becoming so exhausted is, like Jim argued about 2DK about the reporters carrying the water for the Pirates. We all understand why they're doing things, but we don't need it beaten into our skull about how it's a smart move over and over and how the Pirates aren't going to change now and this and that. And everything that some of these reporters are saying is so condescending. We know why they're doing it. It doesn't, we're in year of the Sherrington era, we're in year 3 of this rebuild. We're still talking about trading Brian Reynolds. When does it stop?
And you know what, like, the problem to me about this, so before we get too deep into this, I think, like as Jim said, we probably could have a 4-hour show tonight and not even hit on what the topic of the show is. So we want to try to condense this a little bit, right? Because again, Tyler's got to go to bed. But like my biggest thing too about this whole thing, to kind of sum it up, right, which I was trying to hit really hard on Twitter, is sure, that's MLB. That's been the MO for the Pirates for how many years? That's been the MO for a lot of MLB teams throughout the years. But here's the difference. This regime has come in and has stated things which goes against these patterns and routines, right? How they're going to be player-centric, how they're going to let the players pretty much determine. And we don't mean that, because I saw some stupid-ass sarcastic freaking tweets of people saying how, you think they're just going to tell you where they're going to play. No, it's not about telling you. It's not like I'm going to wake up one morning and say, hey, Charrington, I want to play in AAA today, even though I'm 17 years old. It's about their play dictating where they're going to go. And O'Neal Cruz's play has dictated that he earned that promotion last year, because the Pirates said it dictated and they were going to reward him for that promotion. So if last year his play, which also, mind you, Charrington's come out and said how AAA is in a developmental league. If you succeed, right, and pass AA, if you get the pass on AA, we feel you're ready for the big leagues. He did all that last year. There's no excuse of him not being in Major League Baseball right now, unless it's something else, which we could probably get into, and we know it's the outfield glove, right? So it's that. Like, it's the fact that we're going to try to win. We're going to try to do this, all this, and this, and this, and this. And then like, you're saying on that one side of the mouth, but then your actions are doing another thing outside of your other mouth. And what's the message? Like, I keep preaching culture. Like, what are we doing here with this? If you're saying one thing and doing the other thing, like, as a player, I'm just like, what's the point? What you're saying doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. It's not truthful. So there's that part. But then there's the other part. Yes, this is what the MO of Major League Baseball has been for years, but there's a new CBA with new things that incentivizes doing the opposite. If you are a rebuilding club and you have a player who potentially could be Rookie of the Year, and if not, come second place, you have the opportunity of landing an extra draft pick that comes after the first round by starting him opening day. You are a rebuilding team. That is something that you would want, and you ultimately decide, because of the extra year, which would be alleviated by signing to an extension, is most important right now, which you're ultimately probably going to extend him anyways. And if he wins Rookie of the Year, he's going to lose that year of service time anyways. So what was the point?
And now you just alienated him. But you know what I think is the real reason he's down there? They're going to hold him down until June. He's not going to get Super 2 status. They're going to hold him down till after that deadline passes, and they're going to try to save money. they're not calling him up before then. Because I don't see why you would leave him down for 3 weeks with the chance of him winning Rookie of the Year being so high and that just going poof, the draft picks,
Oof.
without wanting to just keep him down for Super 2. And then he's not winning Rookie of the Year. You're saving money. And truthfully, they might as well at this point because they've already screwed everything else up. It's the only smart move left.
So I'm afraid I think Tyler is right. You know, the new rule for the CBA and the Rookie of the Year, you know, you're going to see a lot of teams, it sounds like, taking advantage of that. Like it seems like the Royals are gonna have Bobby Witt Jr. on their opening day roster. It seems like the Mariners are probably going to have Julio Rodriguez on that opening day roster. Like they're rolling that dice and they're saying, hey, these guys are good. They're going to put together a good season when we do call them up. So let's just call them up opening day, and then that way we get rewarded for it, right? The Pirates did the opposite, right? And so we'll see what the Mariners and the Royals actually do. I'm actually really interested now to kind of see all that take place. Like, what do the Royals do? What do the Mariners do? What do the Tigers do? You know, Phillies with Bryce and Stott just kind of going off right now. Like, what are they going to do? So there's a few other people in the mix that are kind of in the same boat. Are they going to do what the Pirates did, or are they going to do something else? Because if like the Pirates are the only people to send down their stud prospect while every other team called them up opening day, then all these people who are in my mentions over and over and over and over and over and over and over again saying this is the system the players agreed to. If they wanted something else, they should have fought a little bit harder for something else. Then that was my Tyler voice.
It
That's actually pretty good, actually.
that was my imitating a dumbass's voice.
Yeah.
And you imitated it well.
So my thing is, like, if all these teams actually demonstrate a change in their behavior when it comes to dealing with their top prospects at the beginning of the year, then it's not just like the CBA worked. Then like the players did something about it. It's just the Pirates continuing to operate like cheap scumbags. Like that's what it would end up being, right? So I'm curious to see what these other teams do, because there's a lot of players who I feel like are ready for the majors and like kind of right on the brink there that maybe in past years would have been sent down, similar to what the Pirates just did with Cruz. But we are going to see them start opening day.
And it's like, again, like the biggest win, the best case scenario for the Pirates would be to start O'Neal Cruz opening day, would be for him to win Rookie of the Year. So they get that draft pick, and then to extend him to a deal. That's the best case scenario. And for honestly a GM who has played that high risk, high reward like mentality throughout this whole, this tenure, right? I mean, as we talk about every trade, it's not safe, right? He's going for younger guys, a little bit riskier, but the high reward in that sense. And he's just playing it completely safe right now. I'm not even going to attempt to try to get that draft pick. I'm not really going to we're not even talking extension for Brian Reynolds. So clearly we're not for O'Neal Cruz, but like, you're not even trying to do the best case scenario for this team in that situation. So, and then like the next thing that really, really, really pisses me off, you had all offseason. If the real reason you wanted to send him down to AAA was because you wanted him to learn off the outfield, right? And he hasn't had much time or experience in outfield. How come he was given an outfield glove, less than 2 weeks ago? How come he had all offseason and not one said, hey, you know what? Work on your outfield. So like what this tells me is if you want to play me dumb and think that's the real reason, then I'm going to call you out for it. That's a terrible mismanagement on your end. That's absolutely terrible that it took you this long to decide I need O'Neal Cruz to play outfield. That speaks a lot more to you. It's your fault then that he needs to learn outfield today, because you could have gave him every opportunity during this whole entire time for 6 months to maybe learn it a little bit. So what does that say to you?
Everything you guys are saying is why I truly believe that they are holding him down until he's no longer a Super 2 player. Because it just does not make enough sense to me to not call him up right away. You've already lost the opportunity for the draft pick. Are you really that worried about that extra year of control? And now they're making up this outfield stuff. They would have just kept him at shortstop.
And Charrington's committed. Every single quote you look, we look at him as a shortstop. We view
Like, are
him
you
as a
really going to
shortstop.
tell me? Are you really going to tell me that in 3 weeks he's going to learn to play the outfield? He
Yes
probably
and no.
could.
Exactly.
Yes and no. To go against the point we've been driving home, I guarantee it's not going to take him. Now, I mean, 3 weeks maybe cutting it, right? But I don't think it's going to take Ono Cruz 2 years to learn the outfield. Like, you're not preparing him for 2024 to learn the outfield, which is why everyone wanted to move off a shortstop right now. I don't think it's that's why you get these uber athletes in the middle infield, because they can transition and move off of it. That's what this whole freaking rebuild has been about.
It's a real shame that they haven't had like 3 weeks prior to maybe at least run him through some drills.
Right.
No, they made the decision that they were going to send him to AAA, and they had to come up with a reason.
Bingo. So this has been the plans all along. Because again, when you look at last year's quotes, which I tweeted out there, right? Jake is the one who posted it. I'm using his quote to put out there, but Charrington basically says that like players are going to have a better chance making the club next spring, and Ono Cruz is one of them. You knew from right then and there he's not doing it because it's because the whole outcome. You had to find a way to keep him down now. He did not play himself out of making the club by any means. So it's not like he had to scramble to find a way. He's playing himself on the team. So you knew damn well from that moment you were speaking in October, he wasn't making the club.
I could be naive here, but in terms of development, he's going to get no development in AAA. He's going to go down there and he's going to rake. And if you're worried about his strikeout numbers, they're not going to get lower because he's just better than these guys. He's going to develop in the majors because he's going to be challenged there. He's going to kill AAA pitching. His approach isn't going to change because he's just going to see fastball and hit it over the fence.
Do you have anything to say, Jim? We have some questions in the comments.
I mean, we already have seen what he's capable of doing in like his short time in AAA. He absolutely mashed. We've seen spring training now. He's clearly an elite level hitter. His bat to ball skills, his striking ability, if we're talking golf, like the exit velocity on his hits are just absolutely insane. Like he's Giancarlo Stanton-esque, like when he hits the ball. And there's no one else on the Pirates who is capable of doing the things that he does. And so, yeah, I mean, the whole development thing is that's just the Pirates lying to us. No one actually in their right mind could watch O'Neal Cruz right now and say that he needs more time to develop before, trying him out in the major leagues. Someone asked me, well, are you 100% sure that he's ready for the majors? No one's 100% sure anybody's ready for the majors. I'm not 100% sure Brian Reynolds is actually good, right? He's 1 year removed from a god-awful season, right? I think he's good. I'm like 98% sure he's good, but I'm not 100% sure. And so, but there's nothing that Cruz has done to this point to tell you that he doesn't deserve a shot on this team. And anybody saying anything other than this is just blatant service time manipulation is lying to you. And if they're saying this on behalf of the team or they're telling you, hey, this is just how this works, I get that. This is how this works for some teams. It doesn't have to work like this because we're seeing other teams not do this. But we're not seeing the Pirates. The Pirates refuse to to do this, and they will get that extra year out of O'Neal Cruz. And it's just disgusting. It's bad. It's unethical. It's blatant wage suppression. If you kind of look at it from like a worker versus management
Jim,
standpoint.
I know what wage suppression is, and I don't think I have different ideas of that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, whatever. They are deliberately suppressing O'Neal Cruz's future earnings is what they're doing by this. And that's just, I'm sorry, no matter how you look at it, I don't care if this is a good baseball decision. It's wrong. Like, that is a wrong thing to do to an individual.
And for the first time in a long time, you can argue it's not a good baseball decision. Normally, yeah, okay. You can argue it. New CBA, I don't know. You can, but it's questionable now. And just real quick before Donato gets to the questions, I'm not saying that O'Neal Cruz won't struggle in the majors. He could come out and have his struggles. He could hit 200 and strike out a bunch. He's not going to do that in AAA. And if he does, it's because he's bored.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
he needs to face competition. He needs to be challenged. He's going to go down there and he's either going to hit 350, hit the ball over the park at 120 miles an hour, and probably kill some poor left fielder that is a quad A player that the Pirates will probably employ next year. Or he's going to, hit like 230 and strike out a bunch because he just doesn't care to be down there anymore. It's a waste of his time.
Yeah. And like, we know it's very small sample, but in his tenure of AAA in 6 games, he hit 5 home runs. So, I mean, but that kind of goes, one of the questions I'll bring up or comment more or less was the fact that, it'll be interesting to see how Cruz does in Indy. So if he struggles there, it'll soften the move. If he dominates there, it'll be huge pressure to call him up sooner than June. Like, I get that. I mean, that's fair. I'm on board with you guys too. I don't feel like he's going to struggle. We'll see like how much he dominates, right? But it's kind of like what Jim was talking about last week, when if he's there and he's batting like 400 in AAA and just killing it, and you got Kevin Newman on shortstop hitting 200, like, what's the excuse? And who knows, maybe Josh Van Meter or the next flavor of the week that we're going to talk about here too. But it's like, if you had that going on, like you're talking about the pressure here, right? And if the idea, like you're saying, Tyler, is to wait till June now to just alleviate everything. Don't allow him to get Rookie of the Year, that we don't have to worry about the draft pick compensation. Then how do you justify that now?
Oh, they will. They'll play him primarily in the outfield.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And
they'll just put him in the outfield in AAA.
Any air he gets, it'll be, 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks. Another one here is, so Josh says, work on your outfield, work on your shortstop. I'm fine with either. 930 fielding percentage isn't going to cut it at the MLB level.
Jim,
I
go
take
ahead and
issue
take
with
it.
this. Jim, you have the
No, Anthony, go ahead and take it. You
No.
the issue.
Okay, Jim. Because I know you and I are on the same wavelength here.
Minor league fielding percentage is perhaps the worst stat in the world. Like, don't even look at it. It doesn't mean anything. And there's a few reasons for that. One, minor league fields just aren't as good as major league fields. As soon as you get to a major league field, you instantaneously become a better fielder. That's a fact. The other thing too, minor league first basemen aren't as good as major league first basemen. So when you throw a ball in the dirt, or if you throw the ball slightly off target, the major league first baseman is going to make the play. The minor league first baseman's not. There's a lot of things here as far as what there's going to be. Minor leagues, you're not going to have as good scouting reports, so you're not going to be positioned as perfectly as you would in the major leagues. So you'll have more time because you don't have to maybe have as much range in the majors. So there's so many things that go into it. Like, I would implore you, if you're citing minor league fielding percentage, to look at other people who have struggled mightily with minor league fielding percentage, and then look to see what happens as soon as they reach the majors. That minor league fielding percentage, if we're talking shortstops, just for example, Fernando Tatis Jr. had almost an exact same minor league fielding percentage as O'Neal Cruz right now. And is Fernando Tatis Jr. the best shortstop in the world? No, but he plays a serviceable position, and he's a super valuable player because he can play shortstop and he's an elite level hitter. Fernando Tatis Jr. isn't the best fielding. He's not going to win a Gold Glove. And no one's saying that O'Neal Cruz needs to win a Gold Glove, but Tatis's fielding percentage throughout the minors at shortstop was in the 930s. And now it's not. and it's not that necessarily that he became better. It's you play on better fields. You have better players around you. I would just implore you, minor league fielding percentage, don't even look at it. It means nothing.
Right. And like
Also,
I understand too, like the questions about him playing short. But so let's find out. Like let's end it. Who is blocking O'Neal Cruz? Like Kevin Newman is not blocking O'Neal Cruz. And stop with the we got to move him off now because of Peguero. Don't tell me Peguero is blocking O'Neal Cruz. He's a single A baseball player. He's not blocking a top 15 prospect in baseball. So no one's blocking him. So find out. It's that simple.
I forgot about that Peguero argument. We had so many arguments this week that I forgot that was one of them, is that they had to move him off of shortstop because Peguero is coming.
Right.
A guy that had a 106 weighted runs created plus and high A ball is on his way. So we got to move a freaking unicorn off the position.
And that's just the thing. Like, I hope he does make it, obviously, right? And even if he does, you'll find out then. Like, you'll make it happen. That's the great thing about baseball. Things just tend to work out. And if in 2 years from now, Peguero is a stud and he's a way better defender and you feel it's fit, well, then give O'Neal Cruz an outfield glove over a whole freaking offseason and he'll find his way to be an outfielder. I guarantee it. It's not going to be a struggle for O'Neal Cruz to figure out outfield. But again, going back to this, it's just this simple. Why do we have to have an argument of whether he can or can't play? Why don't you just let the top prospect show you if he can or can't play on a club that's going to contend on losing 100 games this year? So, like, why not? He's not hindering your club. It's not like we got to find out if he's good or not, but our team could win the division and possibly a World Series and could cost us games. You have nothing to lose this year. Let him tell you, let him prove to you if he's good or not. It's that simple. We don't have to argue about it.
And the other thing too is like the entire, like everything that we've heard from Ben Cherington is they think he can play shortstop.
Yes.
So the Pirates think he can play shortstop. So to be honest, I don't care if there's a random person on Twitter who says that they don't think he can play shortstop, because the Pirates have told us over and over and over again that they do. So if you don't think he can, cool, you're entitled to that opinion. But the Pirates have told us for years now that they think he can play shortstop. And now they're just giving us this reason to blatantly manipulate his service time.
June 22nd, 2021. Altoona Curve manager Miguel Perez mentioned that since O'Neal Cruz has continually gotten better at shortstop, he will start getting more reps at the outfield, getting a better read off bats. June 19th, GM Ben Cherington said of O'Neal Cruz, "We're going to want to see him move around the field a little bit." Said moving around will mostly be in the outfield. However, Cherington said they do want to continue to play Cruz at shortstop. April 15th, blah, 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 blah. We want to see guys get exposed more to one position in the field. So, like, the whole outfield stuff is just like, that's why I wasn't getting like in an uproar about him seeing outfield in spring training this year. Was like, it is kind of their MO. They want to have players experience different positions. And that's something we are seeing right now is position flexibility. Like, a lot of these guys we talked last week right? But have the ability and have played a lot of different positions. It's like, I get playing him there. Ben Cherington, no, Cruz is in Bradenton. He's full participant in camp. Hints that Cruz will get some outfield time, but Pirates also believe he can play shortstop. Like, that's all you keep hearing. He's going to play some outfield. Cool. But he can play shortstop.
You guys can attest, I've been all aboard that I don't think he will stay at shortstop. I've also said multiple times, I don't know everything. We need to find out. He's a freaking unicorn. His positional value at shortstop is way too high to not take the chance. If he turns out that he can just play even a slightly below average shortstop, you've got a dude that hits rockets at the position.
Right. Again, like Tatis, because he's a shortstop, is that much more valuable. Like a shortstop hits 40 home runs is way more valuable than a right field hits 40 home runs.
Like, imagine how much
you
more.
Can just pick them off the street, but
it's like, imagine Giancarlo Stanton could play shortstop.
Yes.
Yeah, he's valuable. It'd be great if with O'Neal Cruz out in left field. Sure, he's still going to be good.
Like, think about, like, Tatis got the $300 million contract. He could have been last year's Kyle Schwarber if he's in right field. Kyle Schwarber had a great year and he signed a 3-year deal this year. Like I'm just getting at, like, you know, like, think about that. Like, that's why you want to give him every opportunity to play shortstop. Because if you could add another O'Neal Cruz in the outfield for a much cheaper deal and have 2 O'Neal Cruzes on your team, that would be very, very good. Instead of having an O'Neal Cruz, and then who knows who your next
Dan Vogelbach
going to be? Clint Barnes. So,
yeah,
anyways, we're hammering. I think
DiNardo,
we're 40 minutes into this, right?
Yeah, I know, but real quick, you do know how valuable left field is in PNC Park. It's so big, so we got to play him there.
Right.
Just like Starling Marte. It's way more valuable in left field rather than center field.
Which I'm okay with that. Like, Kutch wanted to play, you let him play there.
I know, but
until but that's the O'Neal Cruz situation. Like, you just let him play at shortstop until it's just detrimental or you just can't happen anymore. But if it's passable, which you can find out.
Basically, yeah. That is actually a very good point. Like, the guy's different. He can play there. It's okay.
It's that treatment.
Hey, Peguero, go learn left field. O'Neal's happy at shortstop. We're going to keep him there.
But I mean, that's the thing. If O'Neal Cruz is the shortstop and Peguero all of a sudden becomes ready, and O'Neal Cruz is playing serviceable shortstop, like, O'Neal Cruz is the shortstop.
Yeah. Go learn second base.
Yeah. Exactly.
A-Rod Jeter likes shortstop, so you're going to play third.
Right. Like, it's I apologize, Peguero, that you're just born too late. Like, that's just what it is. Cruz was here first, and he's a stud, potentially. And if he is
and you don't hit a baseball like that.
You're not telling him to get off for Peguero unless it's just not good and you have that conversation with him and you make it work. But if it's passable, he's your freaking shortstop. But again, just find out. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Jesus.
We got plenty of time.
I'm telling you, we can go on forever about this.
I would say this whole show is supposed to be about the pitching stuff.
Dude,
right? Pitching breakdown.
Yes. Let's just answer one more question, right? One more topic. Then we'll move on to the pitchers. But about the trade today, people are asking, right? The one that just happened with Josh Van Meter. Like, what do we make of it?
I don't necessarily know how many AAA utility infielders this team needs, but they just acquired another one. Somebody, and I'll give shout out to Rum Bunter here. I know he just won a Jaggy, so congrats on the Jaggy. But Rum Bunter said today.
By the way, maybe... also, if we're doing shout-outs, before we get that, I just want to shout out Jeff Stam too for the Jaggies. That was great.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Rum Bunter did just send out a tweet a little bit ago, right after the trade was announced. Hey, maybe this is just an indication, like maybe Van Meter is just like backup in case Ke'Bryan Hayes' ankle isn't ready for opening day. That's really like in kind of looking at the roster and the way it's constructed right now. That's like the only thing that I can think of that makes sense. Because if you look at the rest of the roster, someone like Josh Van Meter, like, just doesn't. They have people like Josh Van Meter, so like, why do we need another one of these guys? But if it's something where Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to be out for a week or whatever, then maybe this makes sense because it's another bat.
Jim,
that
stop being
can
nice, stupid.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a good. I'm just trying
No,
to
we
like,
don't need.
I'm just
quit
trying
being
to like
polite
make
about
sense
it.
of it. No, I'm just trying
There's
to make
no
sense of
make
it. I mean, they didn't have to make this move, obviously. They could have just rolled with what they had, even if Hayes is hurt. But that's the only thing I can think of that makes this semi make sense, is maybe Hayes starts on the IL. The only thing I can think of.
Right.
Who
And
did Van
before
Meter
you
get
get into it,
drafted by?
Tyler, just to follow up. So another question here is, does he have an option left? He does not.
Nope.
Like, he is out of options, which is why he was DFA'd and this trade happened. His own team, which isn't good, who saw that minor league firsthand season he had last year as a 26-year-old AAA player, said, even though we're not good and we could use middle infielders, we don't want you. So go ahead, Tyler.
No, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's no reason for it. There's enough guys hanging around in AAA who can play the position as well as he has, which is not good. He's not even a below average major league hitter. He's a awful, god awful, could get outrighted if he will be in Japan next year type of player. He's awful. It's just another quad A player that they picked up to buy 4 weeks of everyone's stupid lives because we spend our time watching this stupid team, while a guy like a Diego Castillo will end up getting sent down to AAA because God hates me and I can't have anything nice. And we're going to have to watch some Van Meter guy, Anthony Alford, Cole Tucker, Michael Chavis, Kevin Newman, Greg Allen, whoever that is. That's what we get because God hates me and I can't have anything nice.
And so, like, you've kind of hit it there, both of you. Like, this just seems like a needless transaction. Like, it was just a transaction to do because you're like Tyler right now drinking, right? You got bored. You're on your fantasy team. You're like, I want to make a trade. So you just made a trade to make a trade. What does he add to the club? So if you want to make sense of it, as Jim was trying to with that, right? Like, okay, let's try to make sense why it happened. Maybe this is a precursor that Cruz will go start on the IL. And so here's like a replacement in the meantime.
Hayes.
Hayes, my bad. Hayes is on the IL. You have that already with your team, with your club. And it's a lot of those players that you have that you probably want to find out about. So, like, we know Cruz isn't going to be one of those players, but there's Diego Castillo, right? You have Tucker, there's Newman, there's Hoyt Park, there's potentially Chavis, right? You made the trade last year of. So you already have enough of these players that are yours. So why don't you want to learn about them?
Because Diego Castillo is 24 freaking years old and he needs more seasoning in AAA probably.
And that's what, to me, like, this is the biggest thing. So we've been harping on the train, like, Alfred needs to be DFA'd. And to me, him being DFA'd is a great way of getting Diego Castillo on this team. He's your second baseman. You have Allen, you have Gamble, you have Reynolds. Tucker is that super utility guy, which it seems like they're trying to mold him into, which we said that's probably going to be his role if he's going to be a major leaguer. So, like, there it is, the perfect fit. Well, now what's this guy going to, like, now he's here. So does this mean Castillo's job is now in AAA? Like, he's done everything as well to earn it. He hit his 4th home run today in the minors in spring training. And you're coming out saying things again, right? You've come out and said that Diego Castillo is playing for a job. Like, those are literally Charrington's words. He is playing for a job. He's done everything he can do to earn that job. And you're going to get a guy who right now, currently in spring, is batting 143 and is a career hitter, a 212 career hitter in 649 plate appearances. You traded for him. You went out and got him to take this guy's job away. Again, we're talking about messaging and culture. What was the point of this? That's where I'm lost.
I'm just hoping it's a precursor to DFA Anthony Alford because
Again.
someone has to get DFA because if I'm correct, they got to select Michael Perez's contract and he's going to have to be added to the 40 man.
Unless they find
they
some other
could.
catcher, but there has to be
They
someone,
could.
some catcher has to be.
Someone's going to have to get off this 40 man.
Right.
Yeah, and not to mention, well, there are two people who I think they haven't been able to technically add to the IL yet. So like Cedarland and Mears, have they technically been
That's
moved
right.
yet?
Oh.
So like,
I think they
Cedarland
have.
yet? I need to look now too.
because those,
I think
those
last
will
I
be
checked they were.
guys-
Going to be all over us right now.
Where's Ethan?
Yeah, because that would be the two open spots. I'm not really sure, but
Well, I mean, they had to get rid of Jared
Cedarland
Oliver.
is on this 60 day. Mears is on this 60 day.
okay,
Those
so they're
are
both
official. Yep.
So someone will have to be removed.
Which again,
Also, if they plan on having Jared Eichhoff on this opening day roster, which I think if you're like looking at the bullpen, he probably sneaks in there. He also isn't on the 40 man.
Jim's like, I'm going to throw a precursor to our topic of the show, which is 3 hours in.
Right. No, I think again, I mean, I don't know if Van Meter is going to make this team. I think this is just like insurance policy in case Hayes does have to miss time. I wouldn't read too much into this. I could also see this maybe as like lighting a fire under Michael Chavis and saying like, hey, you've been really bad so far. You're not a shoo-in to make this roster anymore. Like we went out and got this guy, start performing or you or you are done. Right. So I mean,
Jim, I get what you're saying, but we're gonna light a fire under a bad player with a bad player.
Here's my deal though. Like they didn't lose
like,
anything
isn't
of
that
substance
what Diego
here.
is doing right now?
No.
Like if his fire's not lit by Diego Castillo, it's really gonna be lit by Josh Van Meter.
I'm to the point right now where Diego Castillo is on this team. Like I would be surprised if he's not on this team. And I think he's probably your opening day second baseman. Unless Hayes is hurt, right?
That is what should happen.
I think we're at that point that's where we're at.
Hold up, Jim.
And Perez.
Jim, you're froze right now. Just so you are aware. You're back. We've got Jim back.
He's back.
All right.
But you forgot Perez.
No, Perez is there.
So you're saying they're carrying 5.
I'm saying they're carrying 4 bench players because there's 9 position players now.
But
so Perez, right? Perez is a lock. Tucker is a lock. Is what I'm saying. Tucker's a lock at this point.
Okay.
And then those last 2 spots, Park, Alford, Van Meter, Chavis.
So who's starting in right field then?
Greg Allen.
Who's starting in left field?
Gamble.
Ben Gamble.
Okay. Trying to do math here. Hold on. Math's hard for me.
All right. You have 6 beers. You drink 3 more. You have 9.
What I'm saying, you're rolling with 13 position players and you're rolling with a 15-person pitching staff.
Yeah, I guess it all adds up there. But I'm just thinking based upon the Fangraphs potential depth chart I was looking at. So then you're looking at, Gallon, yeah, it makes sense, I guess. But so, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I mean,
whatever you say.
Those last 2 spots are for those 4 guys. Or if Hayes has to start on the IL, then there's 3 spots for those 4 guys. So, I mean, I'm not going to get too worked up over Josh Van Meter. I don't think he's going to be on this team for more than a month tops because he sucks. But, like, who cares? who cares at this point?
Jim, it's annoying that we have a month of our baseball season going to be spent with Josh Van Meter on the team. And I know I shouldn't really complain that much because our competitive team spent a month with Brent Morrell and Jason Nix.
Like it's either him or Anthony Alford. like pick your
could be
pick
neither.
your pick your shitty
That's
pick your
the thing.
shitty player. Like
could
so
and
we're just
should
we're
be.
just we're just
We'll
adding
save that
someone
for
else into the
Spaces.
mix. Yeah. But I think I'm not going to get too worked up about it. This is a depth move. It's not going to be anything worthwhile. Josh Van Meter, if he gets more than 60 plate appearances this year, it means something has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Okay,
Let's
move on from Van Meter now.
We should have a Spaces whenever the opening day roster's announced.
We could. And to go way
That's
back
no.
in the chat, Dave White asked if we do anything special for opening day. Nothing particularly.
Usually work.
We'll just have NS9 live that night.
It is later in the day this year, so it's at 4:12.
That's right.
Yeah,
4:12 and 4:12.
Like 1 o'clock game or 1:30.
So hard. I feel so bad for the Pirates. That's why they had the haggle for Ryan Reynolds arbitration numbers.
Yeah,
shot 412 is going to sue him for
412's
at least $600,000. So
that's true.
Yeah, makes sense.
Are we going to get to the point of this actual show?
Yes, we are. So that's what to move forward to. So I think we can let's start off. He's on the show picture, graphic, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's the real highlight. Like the only nice thing right now to say about the pitching staff is Mitch Keller. Like, let's just get into it. We talked a little last week. He showed another quality outing, in between. What was that, 2 days ago? So Mitch Keller, I think all of us, I can speak for all of us when I say this, is on board the intrigue train. Let's see what he's got this season. And I'm excited for it. Like, this isn't just like, okay. Like, I'm now excited. This could be the Mitch Keller we've really been waiting for how long? So which one do you want to take the floor now? Jim or the pitching Yinza?
I think I said pitching Yinza. Go ahead and say your piece about Keller. You've been talking about him on Twitter.
I have. I've tweeted. I put it in a group text. I truthfully 100% believe you have to give Mitch Keller the ball on opening day. And it goes back to what Dardo keeps talking about, culture, everything you've been preaching, and how they just keep telling you, if you earn it, you'll get it, blah, blah, blah. There's my imitation of Jim's imitation.
Nice.
But the dude went out there. He obviously worked hard this offseason. The velocity's up. Reward the fella. Give him the ball on opening day. Show him we believe in you. We think what you did is going to help you, and we trust you. Also, there's not another dude on this roster that deserves the ball on opening day. You're going to give it to Jose Quintana? No. JT Brubaker? No. Give Mitch Keller the ball on opening day. Show him you believe in the dude, because obviously confidence is going to go a long way for him. And right now, somehow he's got even me believing in him, who was openly a huge critic of him.
Yeah, I think everybody who's seen Mitch Keller this spring has seen just everything that you would want to see out of the guy. He is attacking hitters. His stuff looks completely different from what it was before. He looks like an entirely different pitcher. He looks like the pitcher that like we thought he could be, right? And I know it's spring training, but he's looked really good. He's 8 2/3 scoreless innings, and just dominating people. Like he hasn't given up a run yet. Now I have a question for you, Tyler, just because you're the pitching guru here. What is more important for Keller at this point? Because I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with you. Like, he deserves probably to be the opening day starter right now. But there's also schedule, you got to schedule for this stuff, right? Right now, if he were to be the opening day starter, he essentially couldn't go out there again between now and opening day and build up his arm strength even more, because he would have to do something on short rest. Like the way that he like lines up right now is he would be, the scheduled pitcher the day after opening day. So like, do you risk him having one more start and building more pitches and be ready for the regular season, right? Like what do you think is probably the best approach there? Because he literally can't go out there. I mean, he pitched over 60 pitches last time out. If the goal is to say maybe, hey, get to 75 this next time, and then you'll be ready for the season where you can throw 85, 90 your first time out, right? What do you think there? Because if he's the opening day starter, he cannot have a spring outing where he goes out there and throws 70 pitches.
Yeah, it sucks. Because truthfully, they should have had this. No, I did think about this. They should have probably lined this up before. And that's why it's not going to happen. Personally, I would prefer to just either throw him out there in a short rest or give him a bullpen day in between. Find a way to do it. If not, find a way to at least give him like the home opener, whatever we have to do here. But it's not going to happen. If it was up to me, I'd find a way to make it happen, but it should have been lined up before. It's just an argument that I'm having that I think he deserves to have the ball on opening day because I don't think anyone else has earned it either, and he has earned it. So it's a straw man. It definitely is, and I'm not going to be angry with the Pirates if they don't do it because they're not going to. But you could if you really wanted to. It's probably not worth the risk, but I still would.
Yeah, because right now, if you're looking at like who pitches that day, the person who would there's two players basically in line for opening day starter, and it's Quintana and Brubaker.
Yes.
If they've been kind of pitching on the same day. So
let's not let it be Quintana.
And so like from a scheduling standpoint, that's who we would be looking at. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like from a merit standpoint, who's earned it and who I would like to see get it is Mitch Keller. But at the same time, like, do you weigh? You still want, like, the whole point of spring training here is to build his arm strength up and get him ready for the season. So like, do we need to get that fourth start in to build up so that when he does take the ball the first time out, you're not having to pull him after 65, 70 pitches.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to happen regardless though on opening day is that
also
we're probably looking at 65, 70 pitches and you're going to get pulled. Like Derek Shelton's been very open about not really having a plan on it. Yeah. Someone made a joke to him about having an open day opener. Like he has no plan for it. To the media, at least.
Yeah, I was curious on your thoughts there because just the way it lines up where it's like a day off. So it's like, how do you make that work if
you can? But it's also one of those don't rock the boat. Mm-hmm. But so also with your own, I'm back and forth because you're looking at maybe 60 to 70 pitches regardless on opening day at this point. Is it really going to affect him? But is it also worth, the potential risk of doing so?
So I guess there's like one of those scenarios, like you're talking about, Tyler, like, something you preach and talk about, like you would want to see Mitch Keller. This is the scenario but I can understand and relate to why it might not happen. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and not to backtrack and go any deeper into this, but we will, of course, bring up this pitcher eventually, at least for a little bit. But this is also why I wasn't harping too hard and wasn't too vocal on the Roansy Contreras demotion, per se, right? Like getting sent down the minor leagues, AAA, as I was on No Cruz. Like Cruz, to me, no excuse, no nothing. You preach this. Here's the guy who's showing you ready. Whereas Roansy, you know what? He didn't have all the innings last year. He showed some signs of, I don't know, like, something wrong with him in spring or whatnot. So, like, that I can default to say, you know what, I can understand there's at least some reason why it's not happening. So, like, with Keller, I would love to give him the ball opening day. Like, you have earned this, kid. like, you're looking good, like build up, like boost his confidence too. Like give him that reward. Like you're the opening day starter. Here you go. That would be great. But it doesn't align. I can understand. It's like, I'm not going to fight tooth and nail or go up in this uproar if he's not. I think that would be really cool. It sucks that it's not, but I'm okay with it also. To me, what's more important is just getting Mitch Keller right. Like opening day, that can come next year. If you do what you need to do, if he does what he needs to do, then he'll have more opening days ahead of him that he can pitch for. Get that part right first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to briefly touch on Contreras, like it's a little bit different of a situation than Cruz. Contreras is younger. Cruz has been in the minor leagues for a while. Like he's got a lot of minor league at bats under his belt. Contreras hasn't really done that in the minors. He has, just above low A ball, Roansy Contreras has thrown 61 innings between, from low A ball, from above low A ball. So that's not a lot. You did mention, some concerns in the spring. I think, I saw somebody like there just seemed something off with him his last time out in the spring too. Like maybe it was a blister or something like that. But I think Contreras is definitely somebody who could benefit from some time in the minors. Now, if you're making the argument here that the Pirates need to take the best 28 players north with them, Contreras falls in that category, right? Like Contreras is one of the best 15 pitchers in this organization. He's probably a top 2 or 3. But I'm not going to get too crazy about this one because he could use some more development time.
Not to mention, with the elbow issues he had last year, you probably really want to be careful with him.
And that's something I said.
Doesn't need to be up right away.
I'll maybe it's a fault, but like I will always have more caution with a pitcher.
Yeah, pitchers are different.
Yeah. It also could be a fault because you do only have so many bullets in that arm. You're gonna get Tommy John 75% of the time. But if you're gonna get Tommy John, maybe get it before the service time starts.
Right. Especially if you gotta get 2. I hate to say it, but the guy was traded for. Like that's just the whole thing. I just feel bad for Tyon, but man, like yeah, like he had the Tommy John initially, like all the issues he had, the clock running, yeah. But okay, so get back to Mitch Keller. I'm loving everything I see out of Mitch Keller. I mean, it's awesome. Now it's like the chicken and the egg thing a little bit here, but like the one thing that really stood out much more than the outings themselves to me is that interview he had in his last outing where he was talking to Robbie. And I swear to God, if it wasn't every second word, it was every third word, the word confidence. That is like, I swear as much as he preached and talked about everything else, everything was confident. Confidence, my confidence, my confidence, my confidence. And it's like, okay, so was it, because we talked and we brought up the fort, we saw the velocity in this off season, but great. But what's that going to do for you if you can't pitch still, right? So was it the fact that he got the velocity, right? It was the fact that he was working on some things that made him confident, or was he starting to get confident in himself and then working the stuff? Regardless of what it is, he seems like a new guy. We see the stuff that's different, but I'm seeing the bigger part of this is the mentality of the guy. Because even last year, like the stuff for the past 2 years, like even the stuff wasn't great. He was never going to succeed because he just did not believe in himself. And right now I see a guy who I feel like, and he talked about it even, right? I see a guy who feels like I can strike you out and I'm going to throw you my best stuff and let's see if you can do it. That's what he's lacked this whole entire time. He's been scared. And now I feel like it's still not opening day. It's still not real baseball. But I feel like we might see a guy on the mound this year who says, I'm going to give you what I got. And if you beat me, I'm okay with it. I'm not afraid of you beating me. I gave you my best. Let's go at it. And his stuff, like his best now looks a lot better. So that's good. I'm loving everything from Mitch Keller right now.
You just said it, the chicken or the egg. Like it could have been. It's like a hitter when you just tell them, "Hey, just back off the plate a few inches," and then they start raking baseballs all over the field. Did it really make a difference? Not really, but they saw a few balls that went to the wall, and all of a sudden, Mitch Keller's now seeing 98, and oh, damn, I can strike people out, and that builds it. I mean, it's a little worrisome if he doesn't have it on a certain day. Is he going to have that same mentality? But right now, I'm all aboard that train.
And you've just never heard him talk like this before.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, he barely talked as it was. And like, I feel like he couldn't shut up the other day, which again is good because it seems like he's very prideful in this. Like, I'm a new guy. That's the biggest thing of a Mitch Keller I can take away was that interview.
He's always been like he's over analytical. I think he's very into the TrackMan and the what are they even called anymore? The thing that tracks spin rate and all that stuff. Anyhow, Rapsodo, yeah, he's real into that. So that can't get in your head when I'm not spinning it this much, and then you're tinkering and tinkering and tinkering. But right now, whatever it is working. So don't mess with it. And he's somehow confident.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning here, this is the Mitch Keller that we were all hoping to see at some point. Now, just we've seen him string together a few spring training performances, and I cannot wait for him to pitch in regular season games and see what he can do with this new stuff that he's got.
That's a very good point. Like, we're talking about confidence now, but like, what's it going to be if he has 3-4 starts and they're good to like see him and see like this now? I mean, I don't know. My words are coming together well, but it's like we see him on a high note now, but like, is it going to get even better?
Could be a great trade chip at the deadline.
To ignore Jim's point, but what happens, if he starts getting rocked around a little bit? Like, there's guys that are going to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen.
Very true.
Yep.
That'll be the test.
So, yeah.
Then he'll just be the same guy he always was.
Yeah, I am curious to see what happens when he does get tested. Is he going to fall back into the Mitch Keller we saw that, he's trying to spot and not throw?
Well,
yeah, and we saw a little bit of a test. We saw a little bit of test in spring training when the Yankees kind of strung together a few hits that weren't necessarily a hard hit or anything like that, but he got in a little bit of a jam, got the bases loaded, and he got out of it by attacking. So that was good to see. Again, it's spring training, so let's see it with another deck on the stadium. Brighter lights. Let's see if he can keep it up.
Also, as far as stats go. So Mitch Keller, again, very, very small sample size, right? But Mitch Keller, 8.2 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Like, the 1 walk really stands out. I know it's super small sample size, but like the 1 walk stands out. That's not the old Mitch Keller. That's guy who's nibbling and walking 3 guys in 1 inning. Cool. So we're all on board the Mitch Keller train.
Choo-choo.
We are.
Let's do it. Gregory Polanco 2.0. Just don't turn into Gregory Polanco. Bless you, Tyler. Okay, so who next do we want to talk about? I guess, so we're talking about opening day, potentially Quintana, potentially Brubaker. I feel like Quintana could be short and sweet. He doesn't look good. I don't think we had high expectations when the signing was made, but he also doesn't look good. Albeit he's the veteran. His spring is probably a little bit different from others. Like, he's not out there really. I mean, you could argue it, but I don't think he's out there really fighting for a job per se, especially on this team. I don't know. I guess there's a little bit of a fight, but again, his spring is a little bit different as that veteran. So I don't know. What do you guys think about Quintana? Rotation, bullpen, opening day.
He's going to be in the. He's going to be in the rotation, and I think you just hope it's a Tyler Anderson type situation where he just eat some innings and help you survive the season.
And Anderson did
Yeah,
much more than that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great point. Like I think, you mentioned Quintana hasn't looked good. I think out of all the pitchers that we will talk about here, spring training means the least to him, right? Like we don't necessarily have to see Quintana dominate batters in spring training. The main point of Quintana throwing pitches in spring training is to build up his arm strength. I think we kind of already know what we have with him, right? And basically that is a guy, like Tyler said, he's someone who can pitch innings, not be completely terrible probably, and get us through the season, right? Because they're going to need people to throw innings. So I'm not really putting too much stock into his spring training, just because he's done this. I mean, this is going to be his 10th season in the major leagues. So I'm not necessarily worried about how he looks right now. Like he's done this before, whereas the other guys haven't. So that's, I guess, my 2 cents on Quintana. He's in the rotation, by the way. So
Fair enough.
I don't think
And
he's not competing for any job.
fair enough. I pretty much agree based on, of course, the players at hand. It's not as if this has a very quality rotation to fight for. So Mitch Keller, definitely. Quintana, definitely. You mentioned about Brubaker also for fighting day. So if it's going to be opening day starters, probably going to be Brubaker or Quintana, who seems to be like splitting those starts. So let's talk about Brubaker. And then do you think Quintana gets a nod, or do you think Brubaker gets a nod opening day?
Personally, I think Quintana gets the nod. I would give it to Brubaker if those are my two choices.
Yeah, that seems like the two choices right now. I would also lean Brubaker. I think he's probably he had the best season last year out of all these guys coming back. I guess you could argue Zach Thompson probably was the best last year, but I could see Quintana also starting opening day, but I think Brubaker is going to be that guy.
Quintana's like a nod to like 2015 Pirates fans. Like, I told you guys we'd get him.
Josh Bell and
Yeah.
I mean, actually, what trade would have been worse?
At that point, it probably
Glasnow
would.
and Bell for at least Quintana was good then. For like he was above average. I'm gonna say good. He was above average for a good part.
He's great with the White Sox.
Yeah, I loved him. I loved Quintana's been my boy for years. I've loved Jose Quintana.
Oh yeah, Quintana will go down as one of them like every year trade pieces that Pirates fans wanted when they were competitive, next to Starlin Castro.
Right. But anyways, I'm kind of torn on this. It's not as if Brubaker has really done a whole lot to earn or deserve at opening day. Quintana's like that veteran. Like you could see giving it to him. He's the vet. Here's your opening day. But at least Brubaker's also like has a future with the club. So I just kind of feel like I'm not going to really care too much who it is. I would prefer Brubaker just because he is a Pirate. He'll likely be a Pirate next year. Quintana won't be. Hell, at the deadline, Quintana might not be. So it's like I would give the nod to Brubaker. Here you go. But it's not like either of them. And again, it's not like Brubaker's done a whole lot this spring either. But it's not like either of them are earning like the opening day nod. Right? It's not like, oh yeah, give it to Brubaker.
Right.
His 8 ERA in 4 innings, he's earned that. But I think overall, like if I'm going to put money on who has the better season this year, I think Brubaker will. Not that I think he is the greatest rotation piece. I've always, for the longest, felt like he's probably best suited in the bullpen. Last year, by default, he was there, and he actually he impressed me. I know he didn't finish the season; like the overall numbers aren't there, but I really feel like a lot of it had to do with just he's been injured. He had a lot of innings last year, and so like I'm hoping he does build upon it. Maybe he does find his way in as be a starter one day and continue, I should say. But like I feel like he could be a decent pitcher this year in the rotation for the Pirates for what they need. So it's like I would just give it to him. Where like Quintana, I feel like could just we hope he's a Tyler Anderson. Like best case scenario is a Tyler Anderson.
Mhm.
But I think he has a lot better chance of being
Eric Bedard.
there you go. Or Cahill. Like he has a better chance of being
Yeah.
Cahill
Yeah.
than Tyler Anderson this year. Minus some phantom injury.
I think you bring up a good point about last year with Brubaker. Like he seemed like he was pretty competent and good to start things off, and then he just kind of wore down, right? And just real quick, I wanted to kind of look to see what his innings increase was. So he pitched about 2 times as many innings in 2021 than he did in 2019 and 2020 combined. So just kind of give you an idea there, like he probably just got tired at the end of the year, right? Like if you're looking at that, twice as many innings in 1 year than you threw the previous 2 years, it's just going to happen. So now that he's kind of got that year under his belt, what's it going to look like next year? The projection systems all kind of like him, right? Like if you're looking at like Zips and Steamer, like they have him as a semi, basically an average arm. He's really the best projected starting pitcher on this team, actually. So I'm interested to see how he does. I think he pretty much has a spot locked up in this rotation. And I want to see how he does with a full season after a full season, because like we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I still want to see more Brubaker. I think there's enough there. It seems like he ran into home run problems, but he'd always run into the 1 inning where he just struggled. I think that there's enough there to make him a 4-5 starter, and he could be a valuable piece to a future team, even a valuable trade chip, possibly.
Yeah.
God, I'm tired of talking about trade chips.
Well, everyone's a trade chip.
I know. It's frustrating.
Brubaker's how old? He's got to be a trade chip. I mean, no one's.
He's like 20. He's my age, I think.
On this club, you're not in the future.
How old is Brubaker? 28?
I think so.
He's gonna be. He's 28 in 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, he's my age ish.
So
he's old.
I do have like a little bit of a soft spot for Brubaker too. Like I know again, like his overall numbers last year just sucked, but we were really talking him up early in the season. Like he was impressing me. He looked good. And then until he just didn't. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in this situation. So I think we've locked up though. We have Keller, you have Quintana, and you have Brubaker in the rotation. Who's your next 2 pieces? We got Zach Thompson, you got Bryce Wilson, Dylan Peters, Will Crow.
So personally, I'm going Thompson and Wilson. I don't like either. I think Uhuri is in there whenever he's healthy. I think Wilson's kind of the odd man out right now. Whenever some guys get healthy and Contreras comes up and all that, and then Thompson's the next man in line to be the odd man out. But a lot can change. Obviously, nobody stays healthy. But right now, I would go with Wilson and Thompson. Will Crow, I've seen enough. I don't need to see more of him as a starter.
I pretty much agree with everything you said. Zach Thompson looked good today, so that was nice to see him get a good solid start under his belt. Here in a Pirates uniform. I think just based off of what he did last year, he at least deserves an opportunity to show you if he can repeat it, right? So I think Thompson slates in there, and then you're basically looking at, okay, who's next? Bryce Wilson, Dylan Peters, or Will Crow, and really none of those guys have looked great this spring. I think you give the edge to Bryce Wilson, but at the same time, he's on very thin ice. Like he needs to perform. Otherwise, like Tyler said, you do have Roansy Contreras sitting there in AAA, ready to go whenever he basically decides.
No. We've learned it's not when he decides. If there's anything we've learned this week, Jim, it's that they don't decide, even though they've told us they decide. But I'm with you.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm with you. And like you said, I agree with Tyler as well. You know, I don't think you trade Jacob Stallings for Zach Thompson to put him in the bullpen. So I think like he's got that upper edge already just because of that. And then the same sense, like Bryce Wilson, I mean, they're both traded for, you know, with Will Crow, Josh Bell, Wilson, Rodriguez. But I feel like you have that pedigree with Bryce Wilson. Like, I don't, we've seen it. I guess best way to put it, as Tyler says, we've seen Will Crow. I don't think it's there. I mean, it's a bad team. He'll get his shots this year anyways, too, because of injury, whatever. Like, I'm sure we'll find him in the rotation at some point here or there. But I think all of us kind of agree, like, he's probably his best suit is to be like that 2-inning relief pitcher. I don't think he's a starter by any means. He's going to be in the bullpen, but I'm willing to give the opportunity to Bryce Wilson to find out what you have. He hasn't looked good, but if you hear what he talked about after his last start, he liked it. He was good with it. And we know that, again, spring training, it's not really all about the results, right? Especially on pitchers. So he was comfortable in his outing and such. So, like, I will give him the spot opposed to those other two. Let him not earn it and then slide him in. We're going to see a lot of guys in this rotation. Like, it's not that meaningful either, I think, right now. There's going to be a lot of guys in this rotation this year.
Yeah. And I think you have to also look at like an upside from an upside standpoint, right?
True.
Dylan Peters is 29, almost 30. Will Crow is 27. Bryce Wilson's the youngest pitcher. Actually, let me look. Youngest pitcher on this entire pitching staff,
right,
including the bullpen. So if you're just thinking of it as in, okay, who do I want to see? Because, you know, there may be something there. You know, Bryce Wilson's that guy. Like, I want to see more of Bryce Wilson just because of where he's at in his stage of his career than I want to see from a Will Crow or a Dylan Peters.
Agree. And I didn't bring up Peters. Yeah, Peters to me is just an afterthought. I mean, literally no one won him last year. There was some intrigue. I know I was kind of like, maybe I'm going to hop on the Dylan Peters train a little bit here. But it's a whole new year. It's a whole new team. And it's not like I'm looking at Dylan Peters for the future. So I'm like over him. He'll be in the bullpen, maybe, as we talk. All right. So we got it up, right? It's going to be Keller. It's going to be Katana, Brubaker, Thompson, and Bryce Wilson, right? There's your 5.
Yeah, I think that's what it should be. And if you argue against it, I don't know how you can.
I mean, you could.
How? Do you want to see Dylan Peters?
I'm just saying it's not as
What's
if Bryce
the argument?
Wilson is an argument of topic. I mean, it's not like he's done a whole lot throughout his career to this point. It's not like he's done a whole lot this spring that you want to argue for a Bryce Wilson.
Yeah, the difference is there's nobody else to argue for.
That's what I'm saying. It's just that it seems so awful that neither of the other guys. So it's not like we're talking about Ronesy verse.
Yeah, I mean, I know Rones is on his way, but Yehuri's the one I want to see more of.
That's a good point. Cool. Okay, then who are the 38 relievers that the Pirates going to carry for this? 28.
This is the part
right?
I don't know.
God,
28, but I don't know.
I mean, go through the list. So you're thinking now there's 10, right? They're going to carry 10 relievers, which is just stupid. But
everyone gets a job.
It's not even baseball at that point, you know, that many relief pitchers, but I digress. Bednar, 1, Stratton, 2, Embry, 3, right? Those are 1, 2, 3 absolute locks. Underwood Jr., probably a lock. Will Crow, Dylan Peters. You're still going to want to keep Peters probably around just for starting pitching depth in case you need it. So you're not going to DFA him. Then you're looking at you need some lefties. So Banda, Howard, and then I would
makes me
take
uneasy, but yes.
I'd probably go Medina and Eichhoff. There you go. There's my 10. So you're DFAing
How do you
Fletcher.
argue that?
You're DFAing Fletcher to make room for Eichhoff. Everybody else is on the roster.
Oh, come on, you can't DFA Fletcher.
We just talked about for 15 minutes 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so there you go. That's it. That's my 10. That's my 10-man bullpen.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Just throw a dart. Once you get past that first 6, I don't care.
I mean, it's true. Once you get past those first 6, we're just dealing with people who are going to eventually be sent down when rosters go to the norm, right? We're just at that point. You're just picking bodies.
Yeah, you just have guys that are like either out of options or they're just the other guys are not ready yet.
Let me bring up.
So you
scenario.
don't have to. So you don't have to pitch Wilmer Defoe, for 2 innings in the end of a blowout.
Yeah.
Let me bring up a scenario, and I just say this because Sam Howard has not looked good. Now, I'm not saying his roster spot's not safe, because by default, he's not looked good, and he didn't look particularly that good at the end of last season as well, right? Do you think they could play a injury thing, like put Sam Howard on the IL to carry Fletcher, who they did pick up, who, albeit short sample, but has looked capable this spring, unlike Sam Howard? See what they have in him until the next guy
yeah.
I mean, if they really want to, yeah, sure.
The only reason I'm saying this, right, is because Fletcher hasn't really been bad, and this is a guy that they did pick up. So I would assume there's some intrigue there, and it's not like he's really done anything to show it's not that he's really gone out there and just proved that he belongs, but it's not like he's done anything to prove that he doesn't. So to me, part of me feels like they're going to find a way to get him on the team. That's all.
Let me translate what June just said. I don't give a shit.
I know you don't.
Go for it.
And it really doesn't matter because
that was I didn't say that. I did not say that. Jim did. I translated.
Oh. But I'm just saying,
he was
I
translating.
get all that too, because these guys aren't worth arguing and fighting over particularly. But if we are going to break down this pitching staff, right, and such, I could be wrong, but I just feel like they're going to find a way to get Fletcher on the team.
I mean, from a 40-man standpoint, it would be easier to do that than to take Eichhoff, because you have to create a 40-man spot for Jared Eichhoff.
Which they can absolutely do. They can find room for anybody on this 40-man.
I'm going to give you
to be honest, though, you almost, and this is just arguing here, you almost can't. They had to use so many of those 40-man spots for prospects to protect from the Rule 5 draft. There are not actually, with a 28-person roster, there aren't a whole lot of interchangeable parts that you have that you can just drop off there now, because if you're looking at pitchers, right, and we're talking about pitchers who aren't on the 40-man, you're not doing anything with Oviedo, right? You just let him be on your roster for a year so you can keep him. You're probably not doing anything with Medina. We just actually named him as one of those 10. Kranick's not going anywhere. He's actually starting pitching depth, who is still semi-interesting. He's only 24. Yohei's not going anywhere. Contreras isn't going anywhere, right? So those are your pitchers that are on the 40-man. You can't really do anything with any of those guys. Outfielders, Swaggerty, Swinski, Kanan Smith, and Jigba, probably not doing anything with any of those guys. Infielders, Cruz, Peguero, can't do anything there. Chavis, that's where you kind of have maybe some wiggle room, but are you really wanting to DFA Michael Chavis for Jared Eichhoff? I probably would not want them to. I wouldn't want them to do that, honestly. I would much rather have Michael Chavis.
I do not care either way.
I put it this way:
either one of them.
I'm more on Tyler's side with that particular scenario. Michael Chavis, Fletcher, ultimately at the end of the day, who cares? But you do bring up a good point, Jim, that this year it is a little bit harder because the 40 man is really utilized more as a hoarding of players. It's not keeping guys. It's not like depth. This is our future, and they got to stay on here. So we don't have a whole lot that we can like work with and tinker around with. So that is a good point. Not like last year.
Right now,
where just
Michael
many
Chavis is the guy.
interchangeable parts.
Michael Chavis is the guy in the bar that's standing right next to the bathroom that won't let you get in because he's talking too much. Just get out of the way. Go.
So
We don't need you here.
he's Tyler.
No, I don't stand by the bar. I sit at the bar.
Are you sure you're sitting?
Always.
Okay.
I'm never standing.
All right.
I'm lazy.
But ultimately, like the point I'm getting at is it's not that there's a whole lot of talent. And again, like with Michael Chavis, I'm not too concerned if he's on this 40 man. Now I know there's people out there that like they liked the trade last year. To me, it was whatever. I get he was a first, round pick, and he was this prospect, and he was a Charrington guy. So was Anthony Alford. He was a Charrington guy, and he's been trash. And like I don't really believe there's a whole lot there in Chavis. He's not showing it yet. And we're already picking up a Van Meter because of Chavis. So if we don't have Chavis on this 40 man, I'm not too concerned.
I guess my thing is like because of Jared Eichhoff.
Okay.
Like, are you cutting Chavis because of the number 10 bullpen guy?
I can't wait to walk into work tomorrow and be so tired and have them ask me why, because we were talking about Jared Eichhoff versus Michael Chavis till
like the thing.
11 o'clock.
Right. Like so to go back to your point about Van Meter, I want to rationalize this. And to that point, to rationalize it, we could do that to be rational. But like ultimately at the end of the day, we are arguing about a Michael Chavis.
The more and more I think about it, honestly, I don't know why they did the Van Meter thing. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I know it doesn't.
I'm taking back
to it. We're done. We're moving forward.
I'm taking everything back.
Stop.
We got to start the show over.
But yes, I don't really care. Like if you need an arm, then Chavis is gone. Like who cares? Big deal. And then once Eichhoff's DFA'd, you bring up Hoyt Park or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like you have better than Michael Chavis is already. I'm totally comfortable with no Michael Chavis. Which also is why the trade it's not like you gave up a whole lot, but just why Michael Chavis? Give me some single A player. Especially this 40-man crunch we have right now. But anyways, so I'm fine with that bullpen. That's where we're at.
Sure.
It
sounds terrific.
It. There was a question asked earlier to bring up, which I believe Dave said it. I see questions. I might not ask him right away. There's a method to it. So he did say, though, that Bednar was hitting 95. Any concern?
No.
Not yet.
I think I'm on board. I hate to say the name, so I'll omit it, but I'm not totally concerned with velocity in spring. I'll say just to say.
I'll help you. I'll help you.
Okay.
Mark Malanson used to sit like 90 to 91 in the spring.
Oh.
I know. I was avoiding the one you were going to say.
No, you
but
don't. But that's true.
Yeah,
I was bringing up Vasquez.
I feel like
that was Vasquez's concern every year. Why is he hitting?
But I also feel like
that's why. Denardo, I mentioned Malanson to avoid that.
Oh, you were helping me out.
Yes.
Okay.
But I also feel like the same thing we went through with Jason Grilli and Matt Capps like multiple times. So I'm not really too concerned with relievers not looking tip top shape, right out of the gate. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Once we're in May, if he's still 95, then Then you might think about it in walking guys.
Right. To me, that's when, like, how long does this last is when it's problematic. Because for a lot of those players, it was, into April, like you're still having that. And then May came and there are those dudes again. And that's why I'm not too concerned. But to go back a little bit, and not too long in sense, even more why I'm impressed about Mitch Keller. Because, like, the fact that he's just blowing the radar at this point in time. And to that degree, too, I want to bring up, so his last outing, his 2 fastest fastballs, 98.6 miles an hour, was on pitch number 55 and pitch number 59. So this is the deepest he went, and his 2 hardest throws were
That's what she
right
said.
before he's taken out. So the velocity's there, and it's
Good
lasting.
Lord. Calm down, Michael Scott.
I don't know, Michael Scott GIF.
GIF.
It's a GIF.
It's Jiff.
Yes. See, 2-3. You lose, Jim. You know
That
what?
was actually 2-1 dummy.
So much.
3.
I need to move Jim again. You gotta get this guy away from me. What is dummy? All right. So I think that pretty much summarizes the arms then.
God, I hope.
Are we good? Did we break down the pitching?
I think we're good. I can't wait until our next episode when we get to talk about over under on these guys, on how good or bad they're going to perform.
I can wait. This isn't, none of last year's was fun, but who was last year's opening day starter, by the way? Was it Chad Cool?
Sure.
Who
I
cares?
think. Maybe.
Okay. So there's that. All right. Well, then, real quick, let me see if there's any more questions. Nothing really. So Nick says, I think Newman is being traded. I think he has value. Okay.
Sure.
Someone did say something else here. I'll bring that up real quick here about Newman. They asked, do you think he'll have a better season? So I'll put it this way.
Can't get worse.
Right. Like, can it be worse is part of it, but that's just offense. He had an amazing defensive year last year, which carried his WAR to be 0. So, that's the thing. I mean, yes, Fishy seems to agree there, but the thing is, I don't think we can expect his defense to be as good, but I also don't think you expect his offense to be as bad. But ultimately, it's still probably just going to even out. I don't have high expectations. I said it. I'm not going to be suckered into Kevin Newman, albeit he hit that home run the other day. He's not looking bad in spring. And as we point out, there was a fundamental change in his swing, and we're seeing results. But I'm not falling for it again. So, I don't really know if everyone's talking about value. Trade Newman. What teams are trading for Kevin Newman? That's what I don't foresee. So for people saying there's value there, I don't
There's no value.
think there is. And if there is value,
there's literally no value. His WAR was 0.
Yeah, there is 0. There is 0 value, especially when you consider he's an arbitration eligible player. Kevin Newman's making $2 million this year to be terrible. You can just call up any guy who has a body in AAA, and they're going to do exactly what Kevin Newman can do, and you don't have to pay them $2 million.
If you would have given Gift and Gope an entire year, he probably would have been more valuable than Kevin Newman last year.
Probably.
His defense would have been better. And could he have hit worse? He at least would have hit the same. Oh, he would have been an awful hitter.
I think Kevin Newman is 100% capable of being a 1 WAR player. I think that's a reasonable expectation that you can have on him. But again, there's no value here. There's none. No value.
So
Kevin
I
Newman
think
stinks. Let's
the
wrap
best
it up.
way, at least for me to put it, is what value he does have. Like you say 0 and great, but like, so what if his value really instead of 0, it's 0.1? You know, like that's what we're getting. It's so minuscule that like the best play for the Pirates, even if there is some value, the best play is to not trade him and hope he shows he's even more valuable than what he is. And then, because I would rather not trade him for the Michael Chavis, right? And just hold on to him and pray you can get something at the deadline.
There's absolutely 0 chance you could get a Michael Chavis for Kevin Newman. The most you're getting for Kevin Newman is if you pay his salary, you might get a AA 28-year-old relief pitcher.
Fine, then we'll use that scenario. So I think it's in the Pirates' best interest to not pay his salary and get a AA pitcher.
28-year-old AA relief pitcher.
Sure. It's better to play him, hope he does something, and then get a Michael Chavis. Because ultimately, if he doesn't produce anything, then that's the risk reward. Then you just non-tender him, and you don't have the 28-year-old AA pitcher. It's not like you're losing much. It's like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, he doesn't have that much value right now. You're praying he can give you something to get some value out of him. And if not, then you just let him go. It's no big deal. So, like, I'm not on board of the trade Kevin Newman because you're not getting anything.
There literally is no team that exists who would trade for Kevin Newman right now. There's not a single one.
There's one, the Pirates, but they already have him. They would. I mean, they traded for a Van Meter, so they probably would trade for a Kevin Newman. It's just they already have him.
Why are we talking about Kevin Newman right now?
All right, we're gonna wrap this up.
They
say like
sucks.
the glove gets him traded. I don't see it.
No, he sucks. Why are we still on it?
It doesn't. I don't. It's eating up a roster spot that could be used.
He would be in Japan tomorrow
and a bat. So let's get out of here. We're 1 week away from opening day. We'll be back on next week. Until then, we'll see ya. Bye-bye. Let's go Bucks.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
See you guys.
I've apparently lost the outro, so we're just going to end it. Bye.
I can't wait till we get back to our normal layout.